Hey guys, it's Elma. So today I will be showing you how I take notes on my iPad 7th generation. A lot of people have been asking for me to do iPad related videos, so I decided I would show you how I take notes, since it took some time for me to figure out the right settings to use, but now I finally got it and I would like to show it to you as well. So let's get started. So the app I use to take notes is GoodNotes 5. I really like this app and I'll explain why in a bit. I also use Procreate, but I only use Procreate for like the headers and stuff, so that's optional. So when you open up the app, it looks like this. You can make different notebooks and also different folders. So here I have a folder for university, and then here I just have like my K-pop journal and my monthly journal and stuff like that. It's very convenient, and yeah. So here is my uni folder. I also have like my first year and my second year. First, I'll show you the notes that I took for the exams for the upcoming semester. So here I have the study notes for that, and then here I also have a notebook for tutorial exercises. So here's an overview of what my notes usually look like. As you can see, I have one color for the subject, and then I also have the header of the subject on every page. I also like to split the subject with like a page, as you can see here. It's very easy in the overview to find the right subject. So as you can see, this subject is blue, for instance. I usually just choose one color per subject, and yeah, I use that color throughout the entire notes section. So first I will talk a bit about the paper size. It makes a big difference. As you can see, I use quite a big size. I think it's letter size or it's A4, but I think I've also used A5 before. I'm honestly not too sure, but yeah, I think this is letter sized. I will show you a comparison to when I first started taking notes, which was in May this year. So as you can see, this is how I first took notes, and it's very messy because I had to learn how to write on the iPad, and also I chose a very big paper size. This was size A5 with lined paper. It honestly depends on what you prefer, but I noticed that I don't really like lined paper. I prefer squared paper or dotted paper, but you just have to try a few things out. But I would definitely recommend choosing a bigger paper size than just A5 if you want lined paper, because, well, as you can see, I could only write a bit and then I had to go to the next page. So there are a lot of pages in this notebook, and it's very unnecessary. I didn't even need that many pages. So yeah, it's definitely trial and error, and I mean, I don't hate the way this looks, but I definitely prefer the look that it's more zoomed out and that I have more information on one page. It's also more convenient. So that's currently it for the paper size, and yeah, I do like squared paper because it makes my handwriting look better, and I just like the overall look on the page. But there are many types of paper to choose from. As I said, you have lined paper, blank paper, squared paper, dotted paper. You can use everything you want. So I would suggest just trying a few things out and see which you like the best. Okay, so now let's look at my pen settings. I usually write in 0.5, but this also depends on the size of the paper I use. But for the letter size paper, I prefer 0.5, and this is what it looks like. My handwriting definitely looks more clean as I zoom in, but I feel like my handwriting on my iPad is always worse than in real life, so I don't really mind. And then for the small pen setting, I have a 0.3, and for the big one, a 0.9. I don't really use the big one, but the small one I sometimes use in graphs and stuff, but usually for writing it's a bit too small for me. But once again, this is also trial and error, so you just have to try a few pen sizes and then decide on which one you like the best. GoodNotes also has this convenient color menu. It's very easy. You can choose 3 colors to have on the top, and you can change them very easily. So for instance, if you want gray, you just click on gray, or purple. You can also customize this here, if you click here, you can just choose any pen color you want. So if you want like a bright pink, then you can choose, and you can also add it to the presets, so then it will show up here. And it's also possible to rearrange this. So that's it for my pen settings. Then you also have a highlighter, and these colors I really like. Usually I just choose a lighter version of the color that I'm writing with, so a lighter version of the color that I chose for the subject. So as you can see here, this is a subject that I have an exam of tomorrow. It's information systems management, and I chose green for this. I don't know why, but I just thought it fit. And as you can see, the highlighter is a light green. My highlighter size is 4.6 millimeters. I basically only use the middle one, but sometimes if I want to color like a graph or something, I'll use the big or the small ones. The small one is 2.3 millimeters and the big one is 6.95 millimeters. But for regular highlighting, I prefer the 4.6 millimeter. I also have the draw in straight line function on. This is very convenient because as you're highlighting, like it automatically makes the line straight. And usually I'm like very wobbly, so I like the look of like the straight highlighter, but once again, this is your own preference. But if I turn this off, then I don't know, it just looks way more messy because I can't highlight properly. So yeah, I do have this function on. As for eraser, I usually just use the small one, but yeah, that's like not very important. What I also really like about GoodNotes is this function, and it's the shape tool. So for instance, if I want to draw a graph, I'll just do like this and it will make the line straight automatically. So it's very easy if you just want to draw something, or like a circle, a square, everything. If you're familiar with using Procreate, you can also, just like on Procreate, if you want to draw a straight line, just do this and then hold it, and it will become straight automatically. And you can also move it, so that's very convenient for drawing graphs. One of the things I find very convenient about writing on the iPad is that you can just erase anything if you make a mistake. And also with drawing graphs, you can like add things and move things. Usually I don't write my lecture notes on my iPad directly, just because lectures are usually very fast and I can't really keep up if I write everything down. So I just take my lecture notes on Word on my laptop, but then if I actually have to study the notes and like study for the exam, I will usually write down the lecture notes, like recopy them to restudy them, or also add stuff from the book. So that's when I actually take notes on my iPad. And also I like to make tutorial exercises on my iPad. This usually looks like this, and I like it because I can just write down my answer to the question, and then I can actually watch the tutorial itself, and they will like correct the answers, so I can just write down what I forgot. And yeah, I usually write it down in different colors. So here I added stuff in blue, and it's very convenient to see what I should improve and what I did right. And it's also nice because you can just move the text around. I haven't really talked about the lasso tool yet, but yeah, so if I want to like move this, I can just select it and then move it, for instance here, and then I could write like stuff here. So I feel like that's very convenient, and I definitely prefer that over paper. So now I will quickly talk about how I make my headers. So like I said, I usually make my headers on Procreate. And usually I just use the brush pen in the calligraphy menu. I quite like this pen. It really responds well to pen pressure, and yeah, I quite like it. Sometimes it does correct your lines a lot, but you can also, if you don't like that setting, you can change that. Okay. Like I said, this is optional, but I always like doing it because it gives my notes a better look. Once I've lettered the title, so for instance here, Information Systems Management, I'll just copy it and then I will paste it into GoodNotes. And then every time I make a new page, it's very easy. I can just copy this, swipe to make a new page, paste it, and I can just do this. And then you have the header. So it's only like one time work, and then after that you can just copy and paste it. I also like adding the border of the color that I associate with the subject. Another thing I really like about GoodNotes is their magnifying menu. I don't really know how to explain this, but basically you can like magnify the text and then you can write here. So it's like hello. Oops, sorry for the wobbly camera. But as you write, it like automatically continues as you go over the halfway point. So as you can see, you can just write and then it just goes in a straight line. I really like that about GoodNotes because it's really convenient and you don't have to like zoom in and swipe every time unless you prefer that. Also, you can make the box bigger or smaller, just like this. And you can also set a line, like I don't really know how to explain it, but if you want like to start writing here, then you do this. I don't know how to explain it. And like you write like hello, and if you do enter, then like it continues on that line and it doesn't like go back here. So yeah, that's also very convenient if you want to write on like halfway of the page. So sometimes you know, you have to write like in 2 columns, then you can just move this to like half of the page and then like you write, oops, blah blah blah, and then it stays on that side, if you know what I mean. So that's also very convenient. But you don't necessarily need to use GoodNotes since the app does cost money. It's not very expensive and I would definitely say it's worth it, but if you don't want to pay, there are also some alternatives out there. Unfortunately, I'm not really sure what the alternatives are, but yeah, there are a lot of videos on there. And there's also Notability that a lot of people use. It is more expensive than GoodNotes, I think. But yeah, before I downloaded GoodNotes, I watched a few videos like comparing the 2 apps, and I decided that GoodNotes was a better fit for me. So that's why I downloaded it, and I definitely don't regret it. So I would definitely recommend GoodNotes, especially since you can do a lot of things on it. I don't know if you watched my other videos, but I also talked about how I made a K-pop journal on here. And yeah, as you can see, this is like a digital journal. I also do this on GoodNotes. So you can just paste in pictures. You can, I don't know, there's a lot of things you can do. So that's why I really like this app. Another thing that's very convenient about GoodNotes is that you can import pictures or documents and highlight them or draw on them. So for instance, I had this, this was actually during an exam, but I just wrote like all of this on top of this figure. And then I copied and pasted this in my exam, so it was actually very convenient. And you can do the same with like articles and stuff. So you can like, for instance, just import something, like you can scan documents, you can take pictures, but you could also like choose something from a folder, or let me see, here you can import something. So these are my files, and if I want to, I don't know, annotate something from this lecture notes I made, then I could just, you know, import it, and you can actually write on it like, hello, this means this, blah blah blah, like that, and you can highlight stuff that's very important to you. And yeah, I also really like that about GoodNotes. Okay, so this is just me post actually filming this video, but I realized that I didn't actually explain how I take my notes according like to bullet points and stuff. So I don't really have a lot of mathematical subjects. So because of that, I usually highlight the headers or like the most important stuff, and then stuff that's a little bit less important, or I don't know, I will just write in the color that I chose for the subject. And I usually use bullet points to take notes. And then for instance, like if I have like 5 principles, then I will just number them and then do bullet notes. So yeah, I just thought I would quickly mention that as well. So that's basically how I take notes on my iPad. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments and I can try to answer them for you. And maybe if you want a more detailed guide to GoodNotes, I would suggest either looking it up on YouTube. Maybe I can make one day, but yeah, this was just a brief introduction and just to help you like get started. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to. And hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Bye!